Who's the top guy in the club for fishing every day? Fishinfrank. You say you want to catch some fish.
I still get a kick out of that. A-N-K.
Yeah, it's a good song.
You did a great job. Josh composed that song. That's Josh. And along with the logo. It was very surprising. Very nice. Yes, thank you. I
Just
wish
compare
I
and
looked
contrast,
like that.
right?
I wish I looked like that.
There's
yeah.
Frank.
Yes.
And there's Frank.
Yes.
There's some similarities.
So,
yeah.
Why is my camera down?
Because I wasn't using that one. I just wanted a tighter view of you.
Okay.
For a second.
Yeah, see, it's kind of getting a little flat up there, but one of these days I'll get it fixed up.
I don't have that problem.
Yes, you just look smooth. With the cold weather, and where are the fish going to go? Because we talked about in another video where if the fish are on the flats, they have a good chance of being dead. Now, that's very real. It's not a facetious statement. Anything less than 2 feet of water. But let's just talk generally colder water. One of the things Robert talked about was as you get to the northern part of Charlotte Harbor, the top end where Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, and all that is, the water retains kind of a brownish tint to it. And the canals are usually black, mucky bottoms. True. And that acts like a solar collector. So the water up here in our canals, the creeks, all this stuff, with the dark bottom, brown tinted water, absorbs more solar radiation and heats up faster. It can change more than 10 degrees in a single day within the first foot or so. But as the water cools down, now, if I'm fishing in a canal and this time of year, and I'm on my dock, I'm fishing, or somewhere along a dock or seawall or whatever, if I feel like I want a jacket on, if I'm a little chilly like I am right now, I'm going to be putting my shirt on here in a minute. What I'm going to do is fish the sunny part of the canal. The sun hits the concrete starts getting warmer, enhances the warmth in the water, the brown water, the black bottom, that's going to bring fish over to it because they're chilly too. And they can't put on a coat, so all they can do is go lay up in the sun. Now, as the day progresses, and I'm feeling like, boy, I want to take this jacket off. It's getting a little warm here. The fish are feeling about the same thing. So now I'm going to start fishing wherever trees overhang the water, under the docks, and it's the same thing on the flats. Now,
and this is a different situation than we were talking about. We were talking about survival of those fish before, where they have to get to those warm water refuges or they're toast.
Yeah,
now
zombie apocalypse time.
Now we're talking about fish comfort, which in turn goes back into where those fish might want to feed. If they feel more comfortable, they're warming up a little bit, hey, they might start to think, where's breakfast?
All right. Now, Josh brought up something which, as with many things, Josh, I don't really get, but we're going to ask the question to him. Because the water's cold and the fish are very lethargic, and is it ethical? You brought up the ethical question, and I don't really understand what is ethical or not ethical about this.
And this is not my question per se. This is one.
No, this is something came out of your brain.
It didn't.
You are the guy. He likes the rules and a rules-based society and everything that's all in its little orders. And so, what is this ethical, non-ethical dilemma?
How dare we have a rules-based society? But
I don't mind rules, but
this came from from internet discussions that I did not start, that other people were having, saying that it was unethical to go out there and fish for snook when the temperature gets cold because those fish are stressed. And really the response that I had, because I did take part in some of these discussions, was if the fish are feeling froggy enough to actually feed on the things that you're putting in front of them, then I don't think ethics really comes into it as a problem. Now, on the other hand, if I catch a snook and the water temperature is 60 degrees and I bring that fish up out of the water and now it's in 30-degree air, I really don't want to hold on to it for too long out here in this 30-degree air. I want to get it back into the water, let it get back down deep where it was comfortable, where it was actually comfortable enough to feed. So yeah, I might be a little quicker about how I release those fish. I might take less time to take pictures, but I'm trying to do that fairly rapidly anyhow. So
If there's something in your brain that says, okay, this isn't ethical, you probably need to rethink your thunk. Because if fish bites, he's okay.
that's
If
what it comes
he's
down to.
Yeah, if
Hey,
he's
but
not okay, he's not going to eat.
this
If
is
you're sitting
why.
in bed with the flu and you just don't feel good at all, are you saying, "Hey, could you run out and grab me something to eat?" No, you just want to lay there and do nothing. As you start to feel better, you're going to say, "Okay, I'm going to go eat." So where's the difference between that and catching them in 7-degree water? Because between 68 to 82 degrees is pretty much perfect water temperatures. A lot of oxygen. The fish are active, their food's active, everybody's just playing along. Now, once you get over 82 or you get less than 68, that's where things start to change. But it's over 82, lack of oxygen. Hot water won't hold oxygen, so they're not going to move much. Under 68, they start getting chilly and they just don't feel like doing much. But sometimes you got to eat.
Yeah. But this is why we have a closed season for snook in the wintertime. And a lot of
No,
times
that's not the
we're
reason
talking
why.
about snook here because those snook do get somewhat cold stressed and they're easier to go out and collect by hand when they get cold stressed like that.
Well, that's why we have laws against it. No treble hook. You cannot pick a snook up out of the water. If you grab one with your landing net, if you grab them with your hands. Now, up by one of the dams on 41, and I don't remember which road it's by, but it's not the one right up here, but it's further up, closer to, it's almost up by Midway, but it's not. No, it's the one, instead of following all the way to the end of Midway, it cuts off to the right. There was a dam there, and you could go under 41. It was a little skinny, but when you got up to the dam, it was so old, it was rotted out. And at one point, people had put a bunch of boulders up in front of it to support the weight of the water, and reached in there and by the lip took out probably a 42. I didn't measure it, but I'm going to
Hmm.
guess somewhere between 40 and 45-inch snook. Brought her out, looked at her, didn't take her out of the water, just kind of led her around, and I had her by the lip, and then just kind of stuck her back in her little hole. And
Yeah.
but I'm
Yep.
looking, going, is that a snook? And we're in a little aluminum boat, and I'm looking there, and I went, yeah, that's a snook. And I just grabbed her a little bit by the lip, and then got her mouth open a little bit, and was able to pull her out. And we're just sitting there looking at her in the water, and big fish. And she was obviously in no condition to protest, but no flip, no wiggle, and then just kind of guided her back into the hole I
Hmm.
took her out of. But it
Good
was
girl. Stay
cold.
happy.
I had, you know, shirt, jacket, probably two jackets on the shirt. It was cold out.
Yeah.
And it's why it's illegal to take these fish during the cold weather. But the season's just all about Tallahassee, the FWC. Oh, we're good people and we're saving everything. We're so awesome. That's FWC. It is somebody's sister's brother who needed a job running it. There's no brain trust there. If you're thinking FWC is making decisions based on either science or what's good for the state, guess again. They make their decisions based on if people say bad things about them on Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've heard bad.
Hey, and if we ever say
Proper
bad
decisions
things about
get you what?
if we ever say bad things about FWC, we're talking about the commissioners. We're not talking about FWC officers, law enforcement in the field. That's not it. Not talking about the research staff. We're talking about the actual commission.
Yeah.
Those folks are
Yeah.
the...
It should be someone from the commercial fishing industry, somebody from the recreational fishing industry, a biologist. There should be everybody who's actually involved in this, somebody from the tourism board, actual professional people involved in what's going on should be on the board, not just, oh, my barber's brother doesn't have a job, so let's appoint them.
Unfortunately, it's not your barber's brother. It's almost all land developers.
Yeah.
That's who you have on your FWC commission.
Yeah.
A
We're
bunch of land
not
developers.
thrilled. But going back to the fish, it's one thing. We don't script out our shows. We don't know how long they're going to last. It could be short, could be long. But when something comes into your head, you talk about it. When you run out of stuff, you end the video.
And these things are all related anyway. So
yeah, fish in cold weather can be challenging, but it can take several days for the colder temperature to get down to 4 feet of water. It can take a week or a month for it to get down to 10 feet. If you've ever been, I grew up north. I'm a displaced Yankee. And 50 some years ago when I was
redo your math
60
there,
years
buddy.
ago when I was learning. 60 years ago when I was swimming up north in lakes, you're swimming along and man, the water's so nice. It's just gorgeous. And then you stop and you tread water and your feet go down. And all of a sudden you're like, oh man, that's cold. You get down there 4 or 5 foot and your feet are freezing and you bunch your legs up and you go back to swimming because it's nice and warm. But that 5 foot down, we're talking, this is July. It had all that time to warm up, but it's still ice cold down on the, 5-6 feet down. So it does take a bit. And that's what fish know. They know that if they're in very shallow water, they start getting colder and colder. Now, the problem is, can they get, by the time they actually go, hey, this is getting dangerous, I should have left, a week ago, can they get to the deep water to save themselves?
And sometimes the answer is, unfortunately, no.
So one of the places, can you beam me over?
I can beam you right in. You got your sunglasses? You got your shades for the beaming process. It's very hard on your eyes to be beamed. Most people don't realize that, but it'll blow your retinas right out. So let's beam you in to where you're supposed to be.
Okay, one of the best examples of this is on the east side, west side, pretty much all around the harbor, but Punta Gorda Isles. Can you give me a little bit on the Isles
We
here?
can zoom right on in there and get up into those canals. There we go.
Okay, that's good. When you come in at Ponce Park, you've got what they call the Rim Canal that comes all the way around. And that's Alligator Creek over here. But the Rim Canal, there's several spots that's over 20 feet deep. Coming in from Colony Point, you'll find one. Coming back through here, you'll find them. And they pay every year to have these canals dredged. I think if they get below 8 feet, they redredge them to 9 or 10 foot. But anyway, you've got a lot of water in PGI. So fish, when it gets cold, love coming into Punta Gorda Isles because the deep water protects them. And some of the yacht basins and some of the other stuff are actually quite a bit deeper than that. Now, opposing, when we go up to Port Charlotte, in Port Charlotte, none of these canals up through here are dredged. Some of these canals are 2 foot deep, 3 foot deep in the winter.
I mean, they were dredged, of course. These are not natural bodies of water. Which
they were
I
dredged
only say
in the 1950s.
I've had people ask about why the creeks in Port Charlotte are all so straight. So they were dredged. They're just not maintained.
What happened here with all the canals is this was such lowland swamp. All of Port Charlotte, this whole area, just swamp. And so the canals are drainage ditches. They took the dirt from the canal and put it up. and they built that up. They dug the canals to drain this so it would no longer be a swamp, but they used the dirt from the canals and spread it out to raise this up so it wouldn't be at water level. Because prior to general development, digging all this out and reshaping it all, this was just nothing but swamp. As you can see here, this is at the end of Midway's right here, and then I think it's O'Hara that goes across. But this end of the canal here, this was supposed to go further. See here, there's a canal here. At the end of this, whoop, okay, there I am. There's a canal started here and a canal started here. I was just telling Josh on the first maps when I came here, all of this side here, now this is Hog Island down here and the Myakka Cutoff, all right? But this whole section, all the way out here, this was all supposed to be houses. And originally, Edgewater was supposed to, this was going to sell and this was going to be such a big deal. They were actually going to go Edgewater all the way across 771 with a bridge across of Tippecanoe Bay.
But if they'd done that and they'd gone ahead and dug the rest of these canals, you wouldn't know now that that was swampland any more than you realize that this used to be swampland.
This is what Port Charlotte looked like before they dug all the canals. A little bit of high areas, a little bit of low areas. But you've got some deep water back here on this canal. Deepwater Lake here, West Spring Lake has got some deep water in it. But a lot, especially the canals over here, these are shallow enough to kill a lot of fish. Because once that weather gets cold, but they're also what fish come to because it's brown water, black bottoms. So the fish that are hanging out around here, they can go up in the canals on most days, most nights. It's actually warmth and protection for them. Makes them feel more comfortable because the water warms up every day. And so it gets a little confusing. The same thing that might kill them actually attracts them so that they can feel warmer.
So we're looking for places to fish. We want to find places that are near those deep water spots.
Right.
Where those fish can also find something to eat. Because obviously we're trying to catch them where they're eating. So places that are sunny and have access to close cut by cover, but also have access to that deep water not too far away would probably be great places to be.
Well, if we go up to Peace River, I'll show you a spot on the Peace River. Go up more Harbor Heights. Let's see. All right, here's Wooden Park. Can you zoom in a little bit?
Yep.
All right, now we're going to go up river here. Okay. And we're going to follow this main channel up. And there's a little, let's see where I'm at. That's Island 33. It's back down here. All right, a little bit more by the power lines. Okay. Right here is this narrow spot. Now this side of the river is 12, 14 feet deep. This side's about 2 foot deep. So this whole section right here is very shallow. You've got a very narrow point here. This has got 8+ feet of water in it here, but this is a very, very deep corner. And the fishing can be actually pretty darn good there. If you go back down towards Harbor Heights, this whole section and a little bit more, okay, right off the corner here is shallow, but as we're coming down, this is all 10+ foot deep. This is why you have so many snook in the winter along these docks. They're hanging out along the shoreline. Right here is 10, 12 foot deep. Right there is, I could have swore I turned the ringer off.
You didn't.
As we go down towards 75, we get a lot of trout that goes through this area. No, to 75, please.
All the way down.
Yeah, let me get back out of the way. This section here is 8 to 12 foot deep all the way through here. It's a lot of water. We get a lot of redfish and even snook underneath these edges here, but you get plenty of deep water right here underneath the 75 bridge. Every day the sun cooks up on that concrete, and concrete transmits heat down into the water. That's what keeps the peacock bass in Miami alive, is the bridges are so close to the water and the concrete gets so hot, it keeps pockets of hot air there. but all these seawalls on the concrete helps warm the fish up as they're going along. Now, yeah, as we go back out, I would say the best example of where I would want to go fishing when it's this chilly out is by the Gasparilla Sound, Pine Island Sound, right up through here, because this area here has the ICW, right?
A
And
dredge channel, pretty
so
deep water.
they took dynamite, blew the limestone out, and all along through here, you've got 10, 15 feet of water, and within yards, you've got a foot and a half, 2 foot of water. So you can go from very deep to very shallow. And right now, uh, anywhere along the ICW is good. If you can give me an overview of the harbor, people say, is it better incoming or outgoing? It doesn't matter right now. All of this water here and all this water out here is the same salinity. In the summer, it's very critical because you get new, fresh, cool, salty water coming up. If the only time the fishing is going to be a little bit better because of a tide this time of year is when you have an outgoing tide late in the day. You've got, there's tidal ponds like Oyster Creek should be right about here. Bring Oyster Creek. You know, we just looked at it a minute ago. Yeah,
Doesn't mean I remember where it was.
yeah, there it is right there. Okay. See, here's an opening coming off the west side going in here, and Oyster Creek is this big, shallow marsh spot. If you go up here a bit, let's see, I think it's right there. Yeah, I can see it right there. When I first went onto this hole back in the early 80s, this was 50 some foot deep. Right now it's about a foot. But this used to be an artesian spring, and the water would flow out of that going down and going back into Oyster Creek. All right, here's the pond area of Oyster Creek. But when you take this water that's very black bottom and a foot or 2 foot of water, or whatever, on the high tide, all of this, all this, all that water, by the end of a bright sunny day when it's cold out, this is superheated. And that water comes out of here going out onto the sandbar. And that warm water revitalizes not so much the fish, but their food. And now, mind you, that's happening with dozens of little creeks on the east side, on the west side, Bull Bay, Turtle Bay. As that water starts coming out after being heated up all day, warms up their food, the little shrimp, the fish. They like that warm water and they're going to get active, which is going to make the fish get active. It's the same thing opposite in the summer. Stuff that's been too hot, they get the cool, salty water and it activates the food, not so much the fish, but their food.
And, you know, it's a real bummer that this isn't still a flowing artesian spring here, because if it were, it'd be a lot easier to go find some of those thermal refuges we're talking about.
Yeah.
That water flowed up ground temperature. So you'd absolutely have fish all through this system taking advantage of that warmer water flowing up.
Like I say, so weird. And it was so long ago here. Remember the fish flashers that the thing would spin and then you'd see the little mark on it? That's how I knew how deep that was. They had the LED ones with the little, cartoon fish on them and all that. They didn't exist yet. The only fish finder rig was it spun around and the thing went and it just kind of showed where the fish were. But we had marked fish in there and it was over 50 feet deep. I don't remember if it was 52 or 56, but I remember 50 plus. And it wasn't 60, but it was 50 something.
Yeah.
And compare that to nowadays. And that's because, the water table dropped. I moved here. Everybody else moved here. We drink coffee. We take a shower. We use water.
Yeah.
And the water table's so low that these artesian springs just aren't flowing anymore. Lettuce Lake is probably the best example of that. And up here on the, yeah, I don't know why I can't tell where stuff, here it is right here. This lake used to be freshwater year round. And when you first went there back in the, I was on there first time in the 80s, but you used to see bubbles on the water where the water would come up. And when you were fishing, your boat would hit one of those and you'd just feel it. And those were artesian springs coming up. Didn't matter what time it was, this was always fresh water. Even though, if you back out, Josh, the saltwater, brackish water, really goes all the way up to here. This is where the saltwater stops this time of year. During the summer, it comes all the way down. But no matter if the rest of the river was salty, this used to be fresh. But the artesian springs are gone. It changes salt, fresh, depending on the rain.
Yeah.
Now,
And that's how I remember it when I was a kid. I remember it being plenty salty in there during the wintertime.
so where's that?
Lettuce Lake.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I
yeah,
don't
I
remember
missed
when
out.
it's the artesian, but if you look, it's self-explanatory. Look at all the houses.
Yep.
Just what happens. Everybody moves in. It's not anybody's fault. It's nothing to get upset about. It's just that no one knew. Literally, nobody had a clue that, when all of South Gulf Cove moved in, the water table dropped and the artesian springs quit flowing. It's the same thing with Gulf Cove, El Jobean, Englewood, you name it, the whole place. We all did it. We didn't know we were doing it. We didn't know we were changing rainy seasons. Not anybody's fault. Just what happened.
So, recapping where we are right now, we've got some
We are
deeper
lost.
pockets in the canals
Okay.
where we can go find those fish. We've
More in
got
PGI than Port Charlotte because Port Charlotte, the canals aren't as deep. You got to find a deeper hole. Like West Spring Lake has some. A lot of the over there, fish are leaving, getting out into the harbor. It's getting too cold.
we're looking for areas where the water gets warmed up by the sun, or not necessarily directly, maybe some concrete getting warmed up by the sun or some riprap. And that's a place where fish can go and get a little bit warmer there. We've got places where we have creeks outflowing from shallow areas where the water gets heated up.
Late in the afternoon, it really helps because when the sun cooks on this all day, that's raising those up 10, 20 degrees in their little solar collector ponds.
And then we've also got areas along the ICW where fish have been sitting in deeper water all night and then getting into that shallow water to feed as it starts to warm up.
My best bet, if I was going to go want to catch trout or even redfish or whatever, I'd be doing places like Gasparilla Sound, Pine Island Sound, maybe up in Lemon Bay, because overnight they're going to drop down in that deeper water, and it's going to be 10, 11 o'clock before they're up in the sun. It's got to be bright and sunny. If it stays overcast, they're staying in that dark, deep water. But if it gets bright and sunny, 10, 11 o'clock, that's when those fish are going to come out of this deep water and go up on the flats to get warm and to eat.
Now we've also got fishing in the surf. We see a lot more of some of our backwater fish, the trout, the redfish, even the snook sometimes, out there in the surf or even out on the nearshore reefs.
I would say the reefs are going to be a better bet. Everything's going to evacuate very close to shore because of the depth. That depth is going to just screw the beach fishing for a couple of days because it's going to be so cold. And the Gulf is clear. The bottom is white sandy, and clear water, white sandy bottom reflects the heat. It does not absorb the heat. So this is going to, once it gets cold, stays colder a lot longer. Up here, we can go 20 degrees in a matter of days on that first foot or two water, or even a day. Out here, this water is going to stay that way for a week. So beach fishing is not going to be as good as canal, Myakka River, all these areas where you have dark bottoms and brown water.
Yeah, but I mean, even looking at it here on this map, you can see how much darker the water is up here versus what it is down here.
Yeah.
And that's not because it's so much deeper. That's literally the tannins in the water.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the case even though we're in the dry season. It's still going to be dark.
I'm going to go. Can you beam me back to my chair?
I can.
Thank you.
Let's just find the beamer thing here, and let's just get you into where you're supposed to be. There, beams you out, and hopefully you'll pop in right there. There you are.
Okay.
Oops, get rid of me.
What is... Get a little off track, but you learned a little bit of stuff about it, and that's just the way it goes.
Listen, we answered the question we said we were going to answer. Yes, we skipped around a little bit. I think people recognize that any time that you listen to a talk from Fish and Frank, he's going to skip around a little bit. It's just what he does.
And I try and do one of those things and come back to the original point.
And even if he doesn't, it's still good information, right?
Sort of.
Right.
Anyway, we're going to play some music. We're going to get out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate the subscribers and the likes and all that stuff. We do want to make money at this. This is one of the goals for this. And thank you, Flying Fisherman, for the sunglasses. It was awesome of you. We love you guys at Flying Fisherman. Great polarized fishing sunglasses. Now, I don't know. Josh, you ready?
Just tell us what you think, guys. That's all we want to know. We want your feedback. We want you to be honest. Help us figure this out, okay? You're a part of this. You're the reason.
Some are going to be longer, some are going to be shorter, some are going to be whatever. But the subscribes, the likes, that does help get the stuff out there because we would like to make some money at this. And you need all those things to make money. So
love you guys.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Good night and sleep tight. We gotta go. We'll see y'all real soon for the next show. Till then, catch 'em up. Tight lines, everyone. Fishing Frank's Fishing Club, now our job is done.